What's going on, guys? Your boy Regular Red here. Today I'm back with another restoration project that I have for my CB7. I just got done at the junkyard and I came across these OEM Fog Lights. I picked them up for, I think it was like 70 bucks. I had bought some other things too, but got the wire harness and the lights there. They're in great condition, has some overspray on them, but that's no big deal. The fog lights that I got are for this style bumper here. There's two different styles. There's this one, and then there's this bumper here, which, as you can tell, is a little bit different. I don't know if you guys know that, but there is two different style bumpers. So with that being said, the fog lights are going to be different for this bumper rather than the other bumper on the other car. But when you take off the bumper, there is an outline. On this one, it's a little bit easier, but there is an outline on the back side of the bumper, and literally you can just take a Dremel, cut it out, use whatever tool, utility knife, doesn't matter, and it literally just mounts right onto the back. Now with the fog lights, I highly recommend that you try to salvage this bracket, this metal bracket, because if you don't have it, it's going to be a pain in the ass to mount it to the bumper itself. And also make sure you grab the entire harness with the clips and everything, because they are really hard to come by. Now I might be mistaken, but I know I haven't found anything anywhere, and for 80 bucks or 70 bucks, however much it was for these, like I said, I bought more things, but for the amount of money that I spent on this, I'd rather spend it at the junkyard rather than buying OEM fog lights for $200 and the glass be all, you know, corroded and nasty. So make sure you get all the harness wires and clips and everything, and try to, you know, salvage the whole thing. That way you don't have to go searching online. Alright, so first things first is to remove the bumper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so as you can see here, there's some dotted lines, and literally you just cut those out, and as you can see here, this point here, this point here, and this point here, those are the mounting points. Literally bolts right up to it, and you shouldn't have any issues. So like I said, you can either take a Dremel or utility knife and cut them out. I'd cut it out small first, fit it, and then if you need to trim more, then go ahead and do that. It's easier to you know, cut more if you need to, rather than having a, you know, huge space and not being able to put any plastic back. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so as you can see, I got the fog light piece cut out. I found it easy enough to use with just a regular utility knife. Now I'm going to go ahead and check the fitment to see how it sits in there, and see if I need to cut anything else out. Alright, so now they're in. As you can see, they fit pretty nice in there. I haven't done the other side yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Put the screws in it, that way they don't fall out. Also, I got to clean them up a little bit. They got some overspray. Alright, so as you can see, I got the fog lights mounted. They look fresh as fuck. Like I said, that there's 3 screws in the back, and there's a 4th one that's optional. You got 1 here, and then you got 2 down there. You got 1 there and 1 there. The optional one is going to be on your turning light, your turning lamp. There's a little bracket. Let's see if I can get my camera back there. See that there's a hole there that's connected to the bracket on the fog light, and then that little slot here, it's optional. You could put one back there. I think I will end up doing it just for safety purposes, just so that there's no rattling or anything. But once you got that in, time for the fun part. I gotta get it all entangled and figure out where they all go, but for the most part it's gonna be a pretty easy setup if you have all the fittings. Alright, so these are the connectors for the fog lights, and I just ran the loom through the bottom there, and this is the ground here. So I gotta figure out a place to run that to. Might as well just run it somewhere, I don't know, somewhere right here. But that's that part. Now we gotta go and run this loom here with these 2 connectors on it. We gotta run them through the firewall, which is somewhere down in there. It's probably easier just to go from the inside and push them through the inside and then grab them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Once you have the harness in, you can go ahead and clip them to the fog lights and put back on your bumper, because you won't really need to be down there anymore. Also, what I forgot to mention is there's on the underside of the fuse box, there's this clip. What this clip is basically you unhook the blue 10-pin connector. You lift this up, you take the 3 10mm screws out, and then there's this blue 10-pin connector that you take out, and you plug this in to where it used to go, and then you plug the blue 10-pin connector into that. Well, I didn't really know that, and I went ahead and cut the wires off. Went back to the junkyard, grabbed the extra harness piece, and then that's pretty much it for that. All you got to do now is just run your wires, tuck them all in, and then I couldn't get to the grommet down there because you have to remove the that can. So there was these holes up here. If you could see that loom right there, I just fed the wire right through there down the firewall, because everything's on that side anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then I just kind of tucked it behind that and zip tied it. So after you get done connecting that and you run the rest of the harness through the firewall, you're gonna end up looking a little something like this. This is going into the firewall up through that hole there. Then you have your fuse. You have your 30 amp fuse here. You have these 2 connectors. These tie into a resistor. It's its own self resistor. If you take it off of a car, make sure that you get the resistors, because then you're gonna have a hard time trying to come up with your own. And then there's 2 little clips, 5 and 3, and they just literally, you take the fuse panel off, and it's literally just a 5 and 3, and then you have your ground. Now make sure, I mean, most of you probably already know, make sure you run it to a bare metal ground. I'm most likely going to be putting it to this bolt here with an eyelet. And then this wire here goes to the switch, which would be up here. I have a video on YouTube on how to take this panel off. That way you can get behind this and run the harness through there. So go check that out, and then all you have to do is run it through up to there, plug it into the switch, which the switch looks like that. Once you have that in, then you can just tuck all these wires away and test it and make sure it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I will be back shortly. Alright, so once you got everything wired up and you're ready to test it out, make sure there's nothing really, all your connections are, you know, solid, nothing's loose. Let's go into here, make sure everything's connected in here. These are the regulators, or sorry, the resistors I was talking to you about. If you go to the junkyard, make sure you grab these. Alright, got my 30 amp fuse, got those hooked up. The 5 and 3s, these connections here. I ran my ground to this bolt here, and yeah, so I got everything hooked up. Now let's go ahead and flip on the lights and press the switch. Well, the light comes on. Let's go out here, make sure they're on, and they're on. Alright, cool. Alright, so they work. Now what you want to do is just run along, make sure that your wires aren't really getting hot. You don't want them to be burning up, especially if you use a different gauge like I did. I went from a smaller gauge to a bigger gauge here. Not too big of a gauge, but still, when you're changing gauge size, you always want to make sure that you're not really burning anything up. So it looks like we're good. Now all you have to do is button it up, tighten everything down, hide the wires. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this wire here. I'm going to try to tuck it as best as I can. But this wire, I'm going to run a loom kind of like this around this so it doesn't get messed up. And I'm just going to run it along with this loom here and run it back. And then on the inside, I'm going to run pretty much everything under the dash. These, I'm literally just gonna stick these up in here somewhere, and I'm going to obviously run this up to the switch there. Like I said before, there's a video on my YouTube page on how to take that off. It's very simple. Literally, this whole project is plug and play. There's really nothing else I can say except good luck trying to find them at the junkyard. I got super lucky yesterday. I went to I think M&L Auto, and there was a 4-door CB7, a 92. I was trying to get trim clips for the windshield, and I came across the fog lights. I was like, man, I have to have them. They probably want, you know, nothing for them. So I ended up grabbing everything. 80 bucks. It was probably the easiest installation I've done on this thing yet. I think the hardest part was running the wires through the firewall, which, you know, isn't really that hard. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions on how to install, or where do I get the parts from, or, you know, stuff like that, just let me know in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. I'm always on YouTube, so I can, you know, normally get back to the questions within a day or so. So yeah, keep me posted with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, I will be posting CB7 videos, you know, of this project and, you know, other projects as well, throughout, you know, this whole process. So if you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more videos, and thank you guys. I will see you again.